Good morning and happy Tuesday. Welcome to Smart Impressions, where we're unlocking business relationships one connection at a time. I'm Rachel Mueleman. I'm your host, and I put this show together to really bring in my network and show people the millions of ways that you have opportunities to build personal relationships that can expand into your business world and really make a huge impact. So today's show, we're talking all about the power of retreats, and I have a very special guest. So welcome with me to the show, Charlotte Bahart, who is the CEO of Coaching.Consulting. Thank you so much, Charlotte, for coming. You are an influential force in this world of leadership development. And we're going to talk today about a little bit more how retreats play a huge part in that development for leaders. So thank you for joining us.
Hello, good morning, Rachel. You're more than welcome. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here on a Tuesday. It's a great way to start your day. I know you've joined us with a glass of water, which by far is one of the most important things you got to drink each day. I got my cup of high iced coffee here to keep the party going. So cheers to our Tuesday. I know that you are planning a really exciting retreat right now happening very soon. Tell me a little bit about it. I believe it's happening in February. What started this journey of a retreat in your business?
So the journey started actually a few years ago when I was sitting in a corporate rat race job, and I was really looking forward to go to a retreat. But then you have only limited amount of holiday days, right? Which you want to spend with your family, or maybe going on a trip with your best friends. So spending these precious days that you have in a corporate environment on a retreat was never for me like, okay, I can't do that. Like, I'm not going to do it. And also for me, the retreats were very often focused on spiritual yoga retreats. While I wanted to go to a retreat where I also had like a bit of a benefit on business. Like if I would walk back into my office after my retreat, what can I do with my retreat? What did I learn? And that's made me thinking of like, okay, I want to build a retreat that has the yoga, the mindfulness exercises, which are very important and powerful. But I also want to combine it with workshops on leadership. And that's how the idea started like a few years back. And we started building on the retreat January last year. So it was
Incredible.
a journey to get it up and running and settled.
Well, I love that you found like this pain, your personal pain that you connect with, and now it's gotten you where you are today. And I brought you on the show to really talk how retreats really maximize human in general, right? In so many different ways. So how do you how can you suggest that, any business professional can incorporate retreats into a business strategy of human connections, which is what we're all here to achieve, right?
Yes. So if you want to actually have a retreat and see the retreat as a strategic investment in your human capital, that is huge, because you will really have long-term benefits from that on an engaged workforce, on a very motivated and a very resilient workforce. So as an organization, if you decide like, okay, this is a strategic investment I'm going to make, I'm going to have maybe, for instance, a few female leaders are joining the retreat, you inspire other people in your organization that they were like, okay, I really want to go for that leadership role, because they really make sure our female leaders, they get the inclusion, they get the belonging, and they invest in them. Another point for you as an organization to really see it as a business investment, as a strategy to have your audience and your employees going to a retreat is you focus on their well-being. Like in a retreat, there is a lot of communication, open communication that is taking place. And if a retreat is built with also workshops around communication, you have to speak up. You have to give feedback, right? You have to learn how to tackle with a difficult conversation. And you're sitting there with other people around the table that have other inputs. So you learn a lot about communication. And if you come back and you can communicate in a better, more effective way, and even in a more empathic way, you're an empathic leader. You create empathic employees in your organization. So it's very important to see that as an investment in your human capital. But not all organizations are there yet. And I really found it now by speaking to organizations, by speaking to HR professionals, to have some of their leaders joining the retreat is not an easy one. It's not an easy one.
Yeah, well, in an ideal world, I mean, I always say, like, I've had a number of people on the show talking about mental fitness and how important this is. For some reason, we have this world that is not servicing this, and how we think and how we feel is a projection of how we act. And in an ideal world, I can imagine that, you know, you're at the same path and headspace that every business would be investing in people, right? And there's
Yes.
huge power and results with this, because by far HR staff turnover is one of the biggest costs of any business, right? So
Yeah.
you're solving a huge problem in that space if everyone's happy, right? And I think
Yes, absolutely. If you would think at like the personal development that you get out of it, like as a professional, right? Because you're professional people that want to come to the retreat. So what is actually the personal and the professional investment that they can make? Like you say, like we live in such a fast-paced world, right? It's everything is fast, everything is stress. And by stepping out a few days out of that fast-paced life, you really give yourself that break, and you finally allow yourself as a professional and as a person to really reflect on what are my strengths, what are my values, what does motivate me, because we don't have time to really reflect on that. And that is really what helps you on your personal development. If you know that, if you get that strength, that is actually an increased self-awareness. And when I talk about like what do you really gain out of a retreat, is self-awareness is a big part of it. It's like number one, I think. And if you ask in an audience, like, and I have it often, like, okay, who thinks who is self-aware, who knows themselves, like 85% of the audience will raise their hands. But yet, like research has proven that only 15% of people are really self-aware. So there is a big gap in between what we think we are and what actually we can discover. And self-discovery is really a big ticket on a retreat. If the retreat is built in a good way, where you have like workshops, where you have exercises, and when you learn like skills and techniques on emotional resilience, that's going to build your self-discovery. That's going to build your increased self-awareness. So it's a huge one on personal development.